I'll hand it over to Christine Brinker and Josh Lake.
Let us know if you can't hear us. I'm Christine Brinker. I'm with Sweep, and Josh is with Elephant Energy, and we'll tell you about those in a and we're going to change the name of our session. Instead of the whole enchilada, we're changing it to the whole burrito. So let me get us all on the right page. We're just going to ask each other questions here. And if you have questions, definitely raise your hand and jump in too. So I'm going to start off by asking Josh, what is electrification and the Electrify Everything movement, and why should we care?
Sure. The Electrify Everything movement, it pretty much describes itself, right? First word, electrify. Second word, everything. We have to electrify everything movement, sorry. We have to electrify everything. And what that means is transitioning everything that uses fossil fuels today to their all-electric alternatives. And by everything, I really do mean everything. The planes, trains, automobiles, your lawnmower, your leaf blower, in your house, it's your heating, it's your cooling, your heating for your water heating, it's your cooking for your stoves. Everything has to be electrified. And the main reason is the existential crisis that is climate change. But beyond that, all electric technologies, they're just better. From a cost perspective, from an efficiency perspective, air quality, home comfort, the list goes on. They're just better technologies. And so we have to do everything we possibly can to help get us to electrify. Once we electrify, then all of the energy that comes from those technologies needs to be renewables. So whether that's coming from the grid at wind and solar at utility scale, or whether it's your own geothermal system or your own rooftop solar, that's a key part of the Electrify Everything movement.
And Josh, I should say, is not just thinking about this stuff. You're actually on the ground getting it done. And I am personally a huge fan of Elephant Energy, and I think you guys all will be too after you hear this. So can you tell us, what is Elephant Energy? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so at Elephant Energy, our mission is to end the use of fossil fuels, primarily within the home, by helping to electrify everything. And within the home, that primarily means heat pumps for your heating and cooling. It means heat pump water heaters for your water heating. It means induction stoves, EV charging, getting solar in your roofs, storage. The list goes on and on. But we exist to help remove all the barriers, all the constraints that we hear, the points of friction, the reason why people don't electrify. We systematically help reduce those barriers. So we work directly with homeowners to help understand what are their challenges. Are they they have home comfort challenges, air quality challenges? Are they just looking to get off of gas for whatever reasons, political reasons, or anything else? And we help develop solutions for them, not trying to sell them technologies, but we develop solutions that will help them get there. We help them find the right contractors to do the install, whether it's HVAC, plumbers, electricians, energy efficiency. There's a lot of trades, but we help coordinate all of that for homeowners. We help them with the incentives, we help them with financing, and we just want to be the one-stop shop, kind of the easy button to electrify. I don't know how many people here have attempted to electrify everything or deploy a heat pump. It's quite a number. I saw how many EVs were in the parking lot, so I'm not surprised, but I'm sure it was a very painful process overall, even though great organizations like Sweep are putting education, I won't steal your thunder, putting educational material out there and doing tons of things on the policy side, it's still very hard to do. And so we exist to make it easy, be the easy button for homeowners.
It can be complicated at first if you're just getting into it. It can be overwhelming, and having someone that can essentially do some hand-holding. You don't know which contractors to believe when they're telling you different things. You don't know where you should start. So we would have loved to have had someone like Elephant Energy when we were working on electrifying our own home over the past couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. So Christine, what is Sweep?
SWEEP is Southwest Energy Efficiency Project, and we work on the policy side, especially for energy efficiency and increasingly for electrification, with the whole goal of that being climate, comfort, air quality, good good jobs, a good livable climate. And so we dive in behind the scenes, especially for all the really nerdy stuff, to make it easier for all of this stuff to happen.
Great. And we hear a lot about building and energy codes and why they're important. And can you talk us through why building and energy codes are important at the highest level, kind of at the national level, and why they're important to each one of us, whether we're renters or homeowners?
Definitely, yes. Energy codes are one of those policies that make the biggest difference in energy and climate, because we want to build our houses and buildings right from the first place so that we don't need to be going through the hassle and the trouble of retrofitting later. So making sure that the codes are up to date. The International Energy Conservation Code is the main one. It's updated every 3 years. And we want all jurisdictions in Colorado to update to the latest code. And in fact, that has become way easier lately because we have a superstar state representative here in the audience who passed a bill there to represent. She deserves a shout out, even though she didn't ask for it, because she is so awesome. And because of her efforts, all local jurisdictions in Colorado have to update to the latest energy code after July, once they update their other building codes. The thing about the energy code, it doesn't specify, doesn't lead you towards electrification. It's basically neutral on that. So what we're working on at SWEEP is encouraging or pushing local jurisdictions to add in electrification, either favoring electric and while still allowing gas, or ideally all electric. And just this past week, we had Crested Butte become the very first jurisdiction in Colorado for all electric new codes. And that is a huge barrier that they overcame.
Where was that?
Crested Butte. And we have, maybe a dozen or others that are in the works that will probably lean towards more electric preferred, where it just favors electric without outright prohibiting gas. But that is an action item for all of you to take note of, is to look where your local government, what their code is, and encourage them to go one step further.
Great. Christine, how does SWEEP kind of promote energy efficiency kind of across the board and on a day-to-day basis? What's your role?
I think we have a fairly unique role in Colorado in the Southwest. We don't do as much public outreach. Some of the other groups, especially CRES and others like you guys, are doing more of that general public outreach, and we're more behind the scenes trying to get all the pieces in line so that energy efficiency and electrification become the easier choice rather than the harder choice. So let me jump to the biggest question that we want to put this question early because I want to make sure that we get to it. How can we motivate homeowners to take action on putting in heat pumps, heat pump water heaters, electric vehicles, solar?
Yeah, it's an excellent question and something that we've really focused the entire company on, and so we think about quite a bit. And the barriers are numerous, and we'll kind of go through some of those later, and the reasons why customers don't want to electrify. But ultimately, we have to electrify everything, and everybody has to get there. And so we come at it thinking, how do we talk to customers about what their goals, their pain points, their motivations are? Try to understand why someone is looking to electrify. Don't shame them into wanting to electrify. Try to understand where they're at on their journey and help them along. So focus pretty extensively on the values of the technology. It's not the technology itself, it's solving problems around home comfort and air quality and cost and efficiency and all these things that they've already mentioned, but you have to focus on that. It has to be a low pressure situation, and you have to meet people where they're at. These are not technologies that, in my strong opinion, where you have to sacrifice. They're better technologies, they're superior, they have tons of reasons why, but you have to focus on those reasons, talking to customers, meeting them where they're at, and ultimately showing them how their life can be better over time. and not just try to do everything at once. I don't think anybody here has $100,000 to drop on doing solar install, battery, EVs, the whole works, the whole enchilada, as it will. Nobody really wants to drop all that all at once. So you got to do it over time as, as appliances need to be replaced, as technologies kind of continue to mature, as homeowners, let's say their water heater isn't working properly, start to replace things as you go. And you do one technology a year, one every 2 years, and eventually you'll get to the point where you have a all-electric home that is more comfortable, better air quality, just better.
Step by step, that's the
Step
way
by
to do
step.
it. Yes, and I liked your point about remembering the why, both the bigger why and then the smaller whys like comfort and so forth. So even though it's not about the technologies, let's hear a little bit more about the technologies. Heat pumps, are we talking ground source heat pumps, air source heat pumps? What are they? What's the difference?
Right. There's probably a few experts in here who know significantly more about heat pumps than I do. But heat pumps are one of those magical technologies, in my opinion. They're pretty transformational. In fact, most of you probably already have a heat pump in your home, whether you know it or not. Your refrigerator, your AC, they're all forms of heat pumps. Unlike your traditional gas or fossil fuel appliances that combust gas or propane or fuel oil to produce heat, heat pumps use electric to move heat from one source to another. So again, like your refrigerator or your AC. And there's all types of heat pumps out there. There's ground source heat pumps, which a lot of people call geothermal, but ground source heat pumps are using the ground as the source or the sink for heat. There's air source heat pumps, which look just like a traditional air conditioner outside, and they'll exchange air and drive a refrigeration cycle and be able to heat or cool your home. And the nice thing about heat pumps, a lot of them have reversing valves. So you can run the refrigeration loop in one direction and it produces heat, and you can run it in the opposite direction and it produces cooling. So it's pretty magical, super efficient, 3 to 4x as efficient as a gas furnace, which as an engineering background, it kind of sounds weird to say greater than 100% efficiency, but I think you know where I'm coming from there. But yeah, awesome technologies. It just depends on where you live, what your home is, what your situation is, whether a ground source heat pump is right for you or an air source heat pump. You have to look at the individual homeowner. There's different trade-offs. But either way, the technologies work. They work in Colorado. They work in cold climates, which we'll talk about. And overall, heat pumps are pretty amazing.
Yeah, we were finding that geothermal heat pumps were more expensive upfront, but way more efficient as well. So kind of a trade-off there. And then they also have a lot higher incentives too. So lots of different factors to consider. We went with an air source heat pump, and it's been just awesome. So besides the space heating side, what about the water heating side?
Right, so of course there's heat pumps available for water heating as well, heat pump water heaters. And they're just like electric water heaters, but they have a nice heat pump on top, and they'll extract heat from the room that you're in or from the room it's in, garage or basement, and put it into the water heating. And again, super efficient, energy cost per year, $100 instead of $300 or $400, and you're not combusting fossil fuels in your basement or garage, right? So there's air quality reasons, just better technology.
And then before we move off of the technology side, what are the costs like? How do the costs compare to their equivalent gas system?
Right. Each technology has its own ROI, its own payback and break even. For heat pump water heaters, it's very fast, just a few years. For heat pumps, if you're replacing your furnace and your AC, when you look at the total cost of ownership, it makes sense to do so. It will pay back certainly on the operating cost over years, even though natural gas in Colorado is still relatively cheap compared to the cost of electricity.
Mm-hmm. That's what we were finding as well too. If you were looking at just a gas furnace versus a heat pump, the gas furnace would look cheaper upfront, but if you're comparing it with an AC combined, then it's definitely the better deal.
Right. But speaking of cost, there's a lot of incentives and rebates out there to help bring down costs. So
Good
maybe
point, yes.
you can talk about how all the variety of incentives and rebates that are there.
Yes, Denver just wrapped up in June their incentives, and we're hoping that they re-up them. They were offering $9,000 off the cost of a heat pump. It was best in the country, and they had really good results with getting a lot of uptake from those. But we also have state incentives. A bill that just passed this last session in the legislature is a 10% state tax credit off of heat pumps and heat pump water heaters. That's just for 2023 and 2024. So make sure you jump on that. And it's just the equipment part, not the labor part. But it is a good start. And we have some federal incentives, and we're hoping with the Inflation Reduction Act, they have heat pump water heaters slated in there as well. And then we have utility incentives from Excel. That's $2,000 off for a cold climate heat pump and so forth. So you compile all those together, and you can end up with a pretty big deal. You might still get sticker shock right at first, but you can make it so it is reasonable, if not a complete money saver. And we know that on the operating side, natural gas is going like that. So we did see our bill go down when we put in all electric, not right at first, but especially now that gas prices have been going wild.
Right, and we see a lot of homeowners who are deploying heat pumps and all electric technologies decide that they want to go solar as well if they haven't already. And I don't know if peanut butter and jelly is the right description of it, but they go together extremely well. Brings down your overall operating cost. And once you have solar at your home, you feel better about your life, I think. In some way, it's hard to quantify, but
Oh,
having had solar.
absolutely. Yes, it's priceless, as the MasterCard ad used to say. And that reminds me, I wanted to say that is all of the work that you guys, as CRES, have done over the past many decades that makes it possible for us to be here, because you've made the grid so much cleaner, you've made solar so much more cost effective, and now we have the option of all renewable heating and cooling and water heating, whereas before we didn't. It was a long time ago that natural gas was actually the cleaner option,
Right.
and now we've gone full circle where we're back to electric being the cleaner option.
Right.
But I don't want to neglect energy efficiency. Tell us how that fits into this whole picture.
Yes, energy efficiency, it's extremely important. So when I say energy efficiency, I mean air sealing, insulation, weatherization, getting a better building envelope such that you have to consume less energy to keep your home comfortable, to keep it at the right temperature, the right humidity. And when you do heat pump projects and other projects like this, getting the energy efficiency work done is absolutely critical. There's lots of incentives, there's lots of people to talk to, and overall it will save you money. It may not be the, see what words I can use here, it may not be the most amazing technology when you look at it, but the impacts are extremely high overall. So energy efficiency is the way to go. Air sealing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then one other technology we haven't talked about much, the cooking side.
Right.
It seems to me like most people don't care what kind of heating or water heating system they have as long as it works. But some people have really strong opinions on cooking. So
Right.
what's your thoughts on that?
Right. On your first part, it's the cold beer and hot showers, as Amory at RMI likes to say. That's what's important. For cooking, induction stoves, I don't know if anyone has them. I'm sure lots of people do, or tried them, just the
Nice.
$100 version, the ducktop one. They're pretty awesome. They're easy to clean. They cook faster. Obviously, there's no emissions in your kitchen. If you have an air quality monitor and you cook in your kitchen, you're going to pretty quickly be dismayed at your situation and want to open a window from the exhaust from the cooking itself, or from the methane leaking into your house from the gas. So induction stoves are amazing. They're easy to get started, easy to clean. I have a picture of one here, but I think we're having some challenges on the slide front. That's okay.
Oh, well, that's okay.
So Christine, there's obviously a lot of misperceptions out there about the various technologies, whether it's what you read online, the people you talk to, the news, your uncle at Thanksgiving. Let's do a little Q&A, a little rapid fire, about these misperceptions. Are you ready?
Right. Yep, ready.
Okay. Can heat pumps work in cold climates?
Yes. Next question. No, they can. Maybe 10 years ago they couldn't, and that's why we have this image out there, but you still hear this all the time. It makes me want to scream. But heat pumps now can go down to temperatures of minus 22, and it is very rare that we have temperatures that cold here. Plus, you have options. You can put in electric strip heating into the unit itself for times when it happens to be colder than minus 22. There's all sorts of different configurations where you can cut gas out completely. Some people still might be more comfortable, for whatever reason, using a gas furnace as backup. So that's an option. You would still cut down your fossil fuel usage drastically. But they absolutely work in our climate.
Example of a induction stove, if you haven't seen it. Again, the biggest benefit for me is my wife likes to cook, and so I get stuck cleaning, which, yeah, fair trade. And this thing is a breeze to clean, so easy benefit.
And what I like, you can touch it and not get
Safety,
burnt.
right.
It's pretty cool if you have kids or grandkids coming over.
So question number 2 on the rapid fire. Will your bill skyrocket with these technologies?
No, you'll either break even or in some cases end up better. I couldn't guarantee it, but the image of having really high electric bills, I think, comes from old electric resistance baseboard heating from the 70s, which is not what we're talking about here at all. If you have a non-cold climate heat pump that goes down to, 30 degrees, and you run it a lot when it's colder than that, then those times you would have a higher energy bill. If you have a cold climate heat pump, which are more expensive up front, they're cheaper to operate in the cold temperatures. So it depends on your system type, but it is not a foregone conclusion that your bills will be higher. We do know for a fact that they'll be certainly more stable. We won't see those huge unexpected increases, so that's kind of a comfort there. And then if you do cut your gas completely, you save automatically about $15 off your bill just from the fixed costs, just from the pleasure of having gas come to your home.
So the next one here, moving quickly, we hear a lot about green technologies causing brownouts and blackouts. What do you say to that?
Yes, that was like half the comments in the Crested Butte discussion last week. Is this is gonna cause massive grid outages, and we're not changing overnight. This is gradual. We hope it's accelerating, but we have plenty of extra supply on Xcel's grid because that grid was built for air conditioning load, high summer peak load. So we have some to spare, so to speak, in the wintertime. Also, electric utilities are aware of this transition. They're planning for it. They're supportive of it. They even offer rebates for it. So those fears, I think, are unfounded. And I wanted to make sure that all of you were aware of that so that you could help get the message out and know what to say when that objection comes up, because you are going to hear it ad nauseum. And fun fact, gas furnaces and gas water heaters don't work in an electric outage either, because they need electricity for their pumps and blowers. So that always cracks me up.
That's a surprising one to most people.
Oh, and then one other thing before then we move to our closing. The other objection we often hear is that it's actually worse for the environment because our grid is powered by coal, and so why would we want to switch back to that? And the answer is that our grid is already clean enough here that it's instantly day one an emissions saver, and especially over the course of a 15, 20, 25-year life of this equipment. So that is malarkey, and again, especially thanks to all that you guys have been doing to get our grid to be cleaner.
And of course, these technologies, heat pumps in particular, are so much more efficient that they just need less or fewer parts of energy to produce their heating and cooling.
Very good point. So we only have another minute left, so I want to ask you, Josh, what is the very next step that you would recommend we all do towards electrification?
Yeah, there are a couple things. So the first is continue to come to events like this, continue to educate yourselves, read about things, listen to podcasts, go to the SWEEP website, get lots of awesome material there. But don't wait. The world's not going to wait for you. And don't think you have to do it all at once either. Find your own journey. Decide what's going to happen next time your furnace breaks, next time you need a new vehicle, next time your water heater is kind of, not producing hot water anymore. Consider an electric technology. But do your research ahead of time. Plan ahead so that when that oh crap moment happens in the middle of winter and your furnace fails, or the family's over and your water heater fails, that you'll be ready to replace it, or you've replaced it proactively.
That's it. Yeah, one question, and then we will end.
Number 18 again.
Do you recommend tankless water heaters?
Gas or electric? They can be an okay solution. You may require an electrical upgrade at your home to 80 or 100 amps just to handle it. So they can work. I prefer a heat pump water heater just based on an efficiency basis, but I think a tankless electric water heater, if you have the electrical capacity, is certainly better than your gas tanked version.
We can give it
Okay.
Say that again?
Water heater would still have
A heat pump water heater, it has a tank attached to it, so it looks the same. I wish I had one here, I guess I don't, but it looks the same, but it has a heat pump at the top with a fan and compressor. Yep.
I've had a heat pump dryer for about 10 months now. Every time I mention it, nobody seems to even know about it. It was kind of exciting hooking it up. Of course, I only had gas there, so that was a little pricey hookup to hook up 220 there. But it is interesting, as soon as you do that, you plug up the hole that vents all that heat outside. And that heat pump actually warms up the room.
Right.
And then captures that warmth to do the heating. Right. A little bit of a drawback my wife's not very happy with. Takes about 30% longer to dry. And then just a little side benefit, it produces about a quarter of a gallon of water from each load. And I have that drain into a bucket. And then I go out and water an aspen tree with the water that's left over. But they're there, they do take a little longer, but I don't know anybody that knows anything about them. You guys didn't mention either.
I sadly
Heat
have
pump
just
dryer.
I just have an electric dryer, unfortunately. I haven't heat pumpified that yet.
Now,
But
heat
yeah,
pump
they're out
water
there, they work.
heaters are a little noisy, aren't they? About 80 decibels.
They can produce some noise depending on the make and model. I wouldn't want a heat pump water heater in your kitchen. I'd probably put it in your garage or a mechanical closet or an unfinished basement.
Are they really available yet, or are they just pretty new?
They're off the shelf.
They're definitely
in Home
available.
Depot.
You can buy them at Home Depot, Lowe's. Yep.
And Lowe's, yep.
Okay.
Off the shelf.
Roy has a question.
Thanks for the presentation. My question goes to gas fireplaces and replacing those. I tried to look for some replacements a couple months ago, and either they were really expensive or they didn't look like they're good quality. What are you seeing, and what do you think's coming?
That's what I'd seen as well. It seems like they're coming along, but they're further down the pipeline as far as availability and quality. But we hope that that is a solution that will be coming soon, because a lot of people apparently are very attached to that.
Right.
And similarly, that reminds me, I've seen induction stoves that have little blue lights, like to emulate the gas flame. So it's kind of what people are used to. But essentially, a gas fireplace is just a heating source in one particular place with a pretty little look of blue flames and a fake log. So I do think that will be an option that we can get soon, but it is we're still in that phase.
I think they'll follow the same technical trajectory as what we've seen with leaf blowers and lawnmowers and stuff, where the first electric versions were kind of like toys almost, or same thing with scooters and stuff, but they've just evolved so much over time as we get to volume and the technologies improve that all of a sudden they're better technologies. They can be, maybe I don't want to use the word safety when it comes to like a chainsaw that's electric or something, but you can cut wood, you can blow leaves, they're just better and charged with the same battery in a lot of cases. So I think fireplaces and 1,000 other technologies are going to follow the same type of technical progression.
Yep.
Yeah, Christine, I think this is a really good opportunity to let folks know about Love Electric as a resource, because people are frequently asking, where can I find installers? And anyway, I thought I'd just see if you could put a plug in for that, excuse the pun.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. Loveelectric.org is a website specifically aimed at Coloradans, and it says, what is electrification, electrify everything movement, what's a heat pump water heater, what are your options, what are the barriers, what do you need to think about, and it has a page of contractors that in theory are trained on putting these in, and so that will be a good place to start. It also has the rebate information and so forth, so it's all in one package, and we're constantly adding to it. It's a partnership with the Colorado Energy Office. And on the subject of contractors, make sure you get a few bids because the prices can vary all over the place. And you'll probably get a few that say, heat pumps don't work in our cold climate and so forth. And you can say, off the list, next. So make sure you get at least a few bids, and that contractor list is a good place to start. Alternately, folks like Josh's company do a lot of that for you and kind of pre-screen all the contractors so that you probably have your favorites that you work with that do a good job.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll see each other again in 10 minutes. Yep.